Today we're going to talk about hypothyroidism, and I'll stress up on congenital hypothyroidism and myxedema as well. So, what is hypothyroidism? It is a condition that develops due to decrease in the secretion of thyroid hormones from the thyroid gland. So, it can present from a spectrum of subclinical hypothyroidism to either primary or secondary hypothyroidism, and even may present as a state of medical life threatening emergency known as myxedema coma or myxedema crisis. So, there are three types of hypothyroidism. So, you have the primary hypothyroidism where the trouble or the decreased function is in the thyroid gland. Then you have secondary hypothyroidism where the pituitary gland is having decreased function and thereby secreting less of TSH. And so there is decreased functioning of the thyroid gland. So it is called secondary hypothyroidism. And the third type is a tertiary hypothyroidism where there is decreased TRH secretion due to hypothalamic dysfunction. Now, the classification of the hypothyroidism based on the etiology. So, one important cause is thyroiditis, autoimmune thyroiditis. If it is non-goitrous, that is without thyroid enlargement, the cause may be primary myxedema. If it is with the neck enlargement or the neck thyroid gland enlargement, it can be Hashimoto's disease or subacute lymphocytic thyroiditis. Next cause is iatrogenic, that means hypothyroidism may develop following removal of the thyroid gland or thyroidectomy, following radioiodine therapy, drug induced hypothyroidism due to the intake of antithyroid drugs. Certain drugs like lithium and amiodarone can also induce hypothyroidism. Now, the next three causes are actually causes for congenital hypothyroidism: dishormonogenesis, as in Pendred syndrome, thyroid agenesis or dysgenesis, endemic cretinism due to iodine deficiency. These three are responsible for the presence of congenital hypothyroidism, or earlier known as cretinism. Ingestion of goitrogens like vegetables belonging to the brassica family like cauliflower can cause hypothyroidism. Then a number of causes are there which can result in secondary or tertiary hypothyroidism. They include pituitary adenoma, craniopharyngioma or a meningioma compressing on the pituitary gland, Sheehan syndrome, pituitary surgery or irradiation to the pituitary gland, trauma, infections like tuberculosis or syphilis, infiltrated diseases like sarcoidosis, hemochromatosis, all can result in secondary or tertiary hypothyroidism. Now, the clinical presentation of hypothyroidism in adults. So, usually they present symptoms like tiredness, lethargy, intolerance to cold, weight gain, decreased appetite. So, here the pathognomonic symptom is weight gain in spite of decreased appetite. Person may complain of constipation, menstrual irregularities, especially increased menstrual flow or menorrhagia. Person may have a neck swelling or a goiter, may have complaints of frequent abortions or infertility. So, hypothyroidism is a known cause for infertility. Then, on examination, you may get findings such as bradycardia. The extremities may be cold, the skin may be dry and coarse, there may be loss of hair, vitiligo. You can have periorbital puffiness or edema, facial puffiness, peripheral edema, goiter, a hoarse voice. The peripheral edema may even result in carpal tunnel syndrome, bradykinesis, delayed ankle jerk, poor memory. So this picture represents all these symptoms and signs. You can see the thinning of hair, hair loss, loss of eyebrow hair, the goiter, the puffy face, periorbital puffiness, dry coarse skin, cold extremities, bradycardia, decreased appetite, weight gain, infertility, menorrhagia, carpal tunnel syndrome, constipation. Now, the investigations, the primary test is a blood test. You do the thyroid function test. You look for the total T3 and total T4, it will be low or decreased. TSH will be high. This is the case in primary hypothyroidism. Similarly, if T3, T4 are normal, the biologically active form is free T3 and free T4. They have to be checked, and if they are low, the person may present with features of hypothyroidism. Now, here I would like to stress that in secondary hypothyroidism, the TSH is also low as there is hypopituitarism, and T3, T4 are also low. Now, similarly, in the case of thyroiditis, the autoantibodies may be present to the extent may be seen in 80 to 90% of the cases. So, anti-TPO, anti-thyroid peroxidase antibodies will be high in the case of autoimmune thyroiditis, especially Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Similarly, certain blood levels are seen. Serum cholesterol is found to be increased. Serum uric acid is found to be increased. Serum creatine kinase is found to be increased. Now, if there's a goiter and an FNAC of the thyroid swelling, will reveal the etiology, especially in the case of Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Similarly, in the case of congenital hypothyroidism, especially in dysharmonogenesis due to Pendred syndrome, hearing assessment will reveal the type of deafness. And similarly, CT head will also look for any bony abnormalities in the ear. The treatment for hypothyroidism is to treat the patient with oral thyroxine, around 100 to 200 microgram daily on empty stomach in the morning. That means 0.1 to 0.2 milligram per day. Alternatively, you can also treat triiodothyronine, that is 20 microgram TID may be given, but the preferred drug is oral thyroxine, which is a once daily dosage. Now, regarding myxedema, the term myxedema refers to severe thyroid failure or severe hypothyroidism. So, in severe thyroid failure, the signs and symptoms of hypothyroidism are accentuated. Here, the patient has a typical expressionless face, facial puffiness, periorbital puffiness, malar flush, and a yellow tinge to skin. All the symptoms of hypothyroidism will be seen, especially fatigue, lethargy, weight gain, cold intolerance, decreased appetite, constipation, dry, coarse skin, cold peripheries. The patient may have a depressed mental state, which may be lethargy or delirium or even present as coma. So, this pictorial representation shows the facial appearance of myxedema. You can see the loss of the eyebrow hair, loss of the hair, periorbital puffiness, puffy face, and a dry skin. Now, that is a real patient here on the right side. You can see this here. Now, this same patient was brought in a semi-conscious state and later on comatose state, and this is how she was that time. So that is a state known as myxedema coma. We'll come to it. You can see her tongue, that is a bit of macroglossia coming there. So, myxedema coma, it's a rare, life-threatening medical emergency, which is associated with high mortality rate. So, usually occurs in patients with long-standing, undiagnosed hypothyroidism. It is characterized by severe hypothyroidism or thyroid failure, altered mental state, hypothermia, hypotension, and hyperventilation. So, each of these factors have to be addressed while treating the patient. Similarly, any of these may be the mode of presentation. It is also associated with bradycardia, hyponatremia, and hypoglycemia. Now, remember, this patient need not be in a coma. The patient may just have an altered mental state and may still have a diagnosis of myxedema coma. So, it's usually precipitated by an infection or stroke or cerebrovascular disease, heart failure, trauma, or the use of drugs like lithium or amiodarone, which are known to cause hypothyroidism. It can result from any of the causes of hypothyroidism, especially autoimmune thyroiditis, post-thyroid surgery, post-radioactive iron therapy for hypothyroidism, and any of the causes of secondary hypothyroidism. Now, here the important factor here is that sometimes the patient may have, along with the primary hypothyroidism, a concomitant primary adrenal insufficiency. Alternatively, if the patient has secondary hypothyroidism, then the associated hypopituitarism will also result in secondary adrenal insufficiency. So here, along with the hypothyroidism, it is important to address whether an adrenal crisis or insufficiency is also present. Investigation is the same. You do the blood test, thyroid function test. The T3, T4 will be decreased. The free T3, free T4 will also be decreased. Now the TSH, it will be increased in the case of primary hypothyroidism, while it can also be decreased in the case of secondary hypothyroidism. Now serum cortisol is also evaluated to look for adrenal insufficiency. Even if the values are normal, you must understand that as part of the treatment for hypothyroidism, it can trigger an adrenal crisis during the treatment, even though it may not be present prior to treatment. But usually, the state of adrenal insufficiency is already present along with the hypothyroidism. So, the ECG is also a part of the investigation. You can see for the bradycardia, the low amplitude QRS complex, the prolonged QT interval, a flattened or inverted T wave, or arrhythmias. A chest X-ray will reveal the pleural effusion or the cardiomegaly. Echo also will show the pleural effusion and the cardiac failure. Now the treatment, it is a medical emergency, it's a life-threatening condition, and it is a rare diagnosis, and it's associated with high mortality. So each of the attributes, that is hypoventilation. So we will intubate the patient and connect to a mechanical ventilator and provide the adequate airway maintenance. Similarly, for the thyroid failure, we will give the patient intravenous bolus of thyroxine around 300 to 600 microgram, and then you give it, follow it with a daily 50 to 100 microgram daily. And later on, you can shift to a oral thyroxine when the patient is conscious. Similarly, you can also start with intravenous bolus of triiodothyronine or T3, that is 20 microgram, and then you can follow it up with 5 to 10 microgram 8th hourly for the next 2 days. And after that, you can shift to IV T4, or if the patient is conscious, you can shift to oral thyroxine. Now, the hypotension usually corrects itself when you correct the thyroid hormone deficiency, but in some scenarios, you may require vasopressors to elevate the BP. Now, hypothermia, it's very important that you do not actively correct the hypothermia. Slow warming is required with blankets. Now, the trigger may be an infection or trauma, you have to treat it. If it's an infection, you start the patient on broad spectrum intravenous antibiotics. Similarly, I told you that adrenal insufficiency or adrenal crisis must also be addressed if present. And if not present, you must remember that the treatment for or the correction of the hypothyroidism may trigger an adrenal crisis. So, it is important to give intravenous hydrocortisone or steroids 50 to 100 mg 8th hourly, and then bring it down in a tapering doses. Similarly, hyponatremia will require saline administration or restriction of free waters. Hypoglycemia also will require intravenous dextrose administrations. Now here the therapeutic endpoint in the treatment of myxedema coma is improved mental status, that is the patient becomes conscious, and you can wean the patient from the ventilator and allow the patient to take orally. Similarly, improved cardiac function and improved pulmonary function. Once the patient is conscious, the patient can be maintained with a oral thyroxine. Now the last element of today's session is on cretinism. So it was previously known as cretinism. Today we prefer the term congenital hypothyroidism. This refers to inadequate thyroid hormone production in newborn infants. It can occur due to an anatomic defect in the gland, that's the thyroid gland, an inborn error of thyroid metabolism, or iodine deficiency, which is the case in endemic cretinism. So the thyroid usually arises from a median downgrowth of cells from the pharyngeal floor between the first and second pharyngeal pouches, and they end up as a bilobed organ in the neck. Any error in the formation or migration of the thyroid tissue can result in thyroid aplasia, thyroid dysplasia, or thyroidectopy. Usually by 10 to 11 weeks of gestation, the fetal thyroid is capable of producing thyroid hormones. Now, two terms in this regard: endemic cretinism. It was used to describe infants born with endemic goiter and hypothyroidism. And here the cause is dietary deficiency of iodine. Now, sporadic cretinism, it was used to describe the random occurrence of cretinism in non-endemic areas. So, when babies are born with hypothyroidism in areas that are non-endemic for goiter. It is usually due to an inborn error of thyroid metabolism or dyshormonogenesis, as in Pendred syndrome, or partial or complete agenesis of the thyroid gland. Now, the clinical features of congenital hypothyroidism. Usually, the infant may be born at term or after term. The symptoms and signs include decreased activity, poor feeding, poor weight gain, poor growth or small stature, jaundice, a large anterior fontanelle, decreased stooling or constipation, hypotonia, or a hoarse cry. So the baby may sleep for long hours and may have a hoarse cry. Similarly, you can get the typical facial features. You can have macroglacia, excessive sleep, umbilical hernia, cool, dry, mottled skin. The child will have features of development delay over the coming weeks to months. Pallor may be seen, myxedema, and goiter. So this is a child with congenital hypothyroidism. You can see the umbilical hernia and the facial picture. You can see the macroglossy and the typical facial appearance. Now the investigation, the screening of neonatal screening is done to identify babies with congenital hypothyroidism. So the diagnosis of primary hypothyroidism is by blood tests. A decreased serum total T4 or serum free T4 and an increase in the level of TSH is diagnostic of primary hypothyroidism. Now an ultrasound and thyroid scan can be done if you want to assess the anatomy and the function of the thyroid gland, as well as to look for into the etiology of congenital hypothyroidism. The treatment is levothyroxine orally. So you can give 10 to 15 microgram per kilogram per day. In other words, that comes down to 50 microgram. Remember, it's a neonate that you're treating. So you'll be detecting this within the first 2 to 3 weeks of birth, and then you'll be treating with 50 microgram. And then the aim is to correct the thyroid hormone levels by the age of 3 weeks. So the weight is like 5 kilos. So 10 into 5 is 50 microgram on an average dose. The starting dose will be 50 microgram. Now prevention. So endemic cretinism. So dietary iodide supplementation can prevent endemic goiter and cretinism, but not sporadic cretinism. So here the method is iodization of salt is what is done to supplement the iodides in the endemic areas. Now children who have congenital hypothyroidism should be monitored clinically and biochemically during their growing years, especially the first 3 years. You look at the linear growth, the weight gain, developmental progression for milestones, overall well-being. You assess the T4, T3 and TSH after you start the treatment within 1 to 1.5 months, and then you can do it every 3 months throughout the first and second year of and third year of life while you monitor the growth parameters. So that's it. Thank you. So today we have discussed about hypothyroidism, congenital hypothyroidism or cretinism, and myxedema, including myxedema coma. Thank you.